With years of experience helping e-commerce businesses transform into powerful 8-figure brands, today's guest shares insights that can help you not just double your business, but 5x or even 10x your sales.
Are you looking for new ways to make your sales grow? You've tried other podcasts, but they don't seem to know. Harvest the growth potential of your product or service as we share stories and strategies that'll make your competitors nervous. Now, here's the host of the Harvest Growth Podcast, John LeClaire.
Today, I'm really excited to have on our show Aviad Shahar. So Aviad is an expert brand strategist, keynote speaker, and workshop facilitator of companies and organizations throughout the world. He's also the CEO and chief visionary of Project Human, a leading brand agency in the e-commerce world. Aviad was mentored and taught by the greatest minds in the branding world, such as Marty Neuamayer, Donald Miller, and Emily Heyward. Aviad has been called a visionary thinker with a rare breed of talent. As a leadership and strategic brand advisor for CXO leaders, Aviad aims to dismantle business as usual, think around corners, challenge convention, and break what needs to be broken. And I'm really excited, Aviad, to have you on the show today. First of all, welcome, and thanks for taking the time to do this.
Yeah, excited to be here, John. Thanks for having me.
So if you could give us a little bit more background, I'll give an intro, but you can speak much better to exactly what you do at Project Human.
Yeah, sure. So nice to meet you all. I'm Aviad. You can call me Avi as well. That's my nickname. I came to the branding world from the design world. I'm a designer originally. And throughout my career, I got my way into becoming the head of brand of a big e-commerce brand. An 8-figure, they just purchased their biggest competitors. So I'm super excited for them. And while I was leading the brand department for this brand, I was tasked to expand the market reach of this brand. They had a very specific market segment, and they couldn't really surpass behind that. So to give a bit of context, the brand is Coolio, and what they sell is sauna wear. It's clothing that makes you sweat a lot more, very beneficial for your skin, helps you to burn more calories. And they were marketing for people who were trying to lose weight. And we tried to expand beyond this market, and the natural thing to do, because the entire brand was oriented toward those people, is to do a rebrand. And us, like any other e-commerce brand, we started to interview branding agencies. And I noticed that what we required for this from this process wasn't really offered from the majority of the branding agencies out there. I'm not talking about the top tier, which we also interviewed them as well, but you didn't want to invest this much at this point. But the lower tier, the agencies that go for, I would say, 15K per project to all the way up to 65K, they were focusing on mainly the visual aspect of the brand. And I felt that it doesn't really matter how the brand will look. The message will not be the right message. If the right message will not be conveyed, it won't help. So we just didn't find the right fit. So I ended up kind of doing the process myself, leading the design and all of the ideation myself with our design team. And I just felt a bit frustrated from this entire industry. And this was the birth of Project Human. At some point, after a few years working in Coolio, I decided to set my way and start my own branding agency. So just so I can cater those services that I was so keenly after while I was working in Coolio. And yeah, that's the background story.
Well, thank you. I think a lot of our listeners probably have heard people talk about branding and branding strategy from many different sources. And I think everyone defines it in a slightly different way. And oftentimes people think of branding as just hiring a logo designer. And that's certainly part of it, right? But when you think about branding strategy, there's so much more that goes into it to really help use the brand to drive tremendous growth behind a business. So I'd love to hear, what are your thoughts on what is branding strategy and how does it help a business?
It's a great question, and I think it's very important for every entrepreneur to understand this definition well, because logo and visual identity is the clothing that brand might have. But to determine which clothing are the best, you first need to understand what the brand is after, what's the perception that is trying to get, right? And you don't just invent this just by determining what they think might be cool. You determine it by how the industry is right, how the competitors are positioned, and what specific customer segment is currently being underserved. So once you analyze all that and you understand, okay, these are the people that I'm trying to cater to appeal my brand, this is when you start to think of all of the different techniques, which one of them is the logo and the visual identity. So to your question, to summarize it, the brand strategy is the strategy, really. It's what we're after. What the logo and the colors need to convey, and why, right?
And you've helped many businesses grow really into 8-figure brands, some of them, and had a lot of success over the years. So can you talk a little bit, just staying high level, at least for now, how branding strategy, in this way you've described it, has been helpful to these companies to make a successful business significantly more successful?
Yeah, sure. So when you start with a rebrand project, when you think of the brand strategy, you ask yourself questions that may lead to breakthroughs that you wouldn't get to if you didn't ask yourself those questions. So some of those questions are questions like, is there a specific customer segment that I should appeal to? Because most businesses, they think, okay, let's just follow the market leader. Let's see what they're doing. That's probably the best thing that I should do. It's not always the case. So those kind of processes, this is what may lead to such great breakthroughs. That makes sense.
I'm just reading a book right now called 10X, really how to 10X your business. And one of the premises I heard this morning as I listened to the audio book was about how you need to really find ways or find time to be able to strategize in your business. I think so many of us in our business, we get mired in the day-to-day activities, whatever our business might be, whether it's a product business, a service business, or whatever. There's so much to do on a daily basis. We've got to get done, or we feel like these urgent tasks. But it is important to find that time or the ability or an agency to work with to help really find a strategy, right? Because you can grow your business significantly even, right? But to really catapult it into significant growth, you may need to retool things, right? You've got to look through a different lens at your business to really go to that next level that is not just a slight improvement, even a 20, 30, 40% improvement, but to really catapult your growth in a business, it's important to really get behind the strategy of it.
Yeah, exactly.
And one of the things you talk about as well is conversion-centric branding. What does that mean?
So conversion-centric branding means that what really says that you brand your business to convert best, right? So there's one thing to strategize your brand strategy, and it's another thing to implement it, to execute on this strategy, right? At the end of the day, the strategy is just a piece of paper, and the brand identity is just like a presentation. But only once you actually execute on this strategy in your website, in your marketing materials, in your post-purchase marketing flow, this is when the magic happens. So conversion optimized branding means that, okay, it's the art of conveying this strategy into a shopping experience that is optimized to conversions, really.
And I speak of it in a similar fashion in the type of marketing we do at Harvest Growth. Many of our listeners know we're focused on direct response video marketing, right? From Facebook to TV to whatever you name it, video platforms. And it all comes back to it's really not just about creating pretty videos or pretty content or pretty logo, right? But it's about what is going to drive results and keeping that at the forefront of your mind and being able to track those results to see what's working early on in the process as we test and optimize throughout a campaign.
Exactly.
You also talk about human-like branding. Obviously, your namesake, right? So your company is called Project Human.
Yes.
And just for our listeners' sake, it's project-human.com. If you want to check out this, it's in the show notes, of course. Go check it out later if you're driving. But when you talk about human branding, you connect it to virality as well. So it's how to create a brand that's going to be able to really grow your business in a viral fashion as well. Can you speak more to that? What you mean by human-like branding?
Yeah, sure. So we do business with people. And when we interact with a brand, the more humane the brand feels, the more likely we may feel connected with it. So to humanize brand is to give a brand a human-like traits in the purpose of making this emotional connection between the brand and the customer happen. So, for example, to humanize a brand, for example, I just noticed Patagonia's new video on their website. They just released a campaign that says that Patagonia is not a brand about fashion. We don't believe in fashion. We don't create fashion items. And this statement represent values, right? Those values is what differentiate between a money-making machine and a human-like brand, right? So when a brand associates itself with a certain ethos that really connects with the core business, this is when this magic happens. People may feel a bit more connected to the brand. So does it make sense?
I love how you describe that emotional connection. So again, back in my world, in the video world, and in a similar fashion, we talk a lot about having video content that feels real, right? There's a real surge now of what they call it user-generated content is one way to do it, right? So it's influencers recording videos, and when they're fake or they feel fake, it's not going to drive much. No matter how much celebrity your talent has, right? How well they're known, if it doesn't feel real or genuine, then it's not going to connect. So it's how do you create video content? In your case, you're talking about logos or brand strategy, same thing, right? Of that human or emotional connection to the people you're dealing with. I love to compare specifically that back to my time in working with Billy Mays back in my early OxyClean days, now 20 years ago. And people always ask, why was he so successful? For those in our audience that are, have been around a little while, remember Billy Mays and how powerful he was for OxyClean, but many other brands as well. And we did a lot of market research and found at the time, it really was that emotional connection and trust. People, when they saw him yelling, right? He was known for the yell and sell approach, right? But it was believable. They knew or they felt that he was selling something that he used, he believed in, that he was being honest, and a little bit of fun behind it, some emotion, et cetera. But it came down to that emotional connection. I think the best videos or the best brand strategies, right, are those that ultimately connect with humans, right? Realizing that our audience are just like us. They're people too, and make sure we make that human connection with them.
Exactly. And you can one of the most obvious, strongest examples that I can say to this matter is the difference between IBM and Apple. What's the difference? Both of them sell computers, sell software, hardware, but one brand represents something, represents certain philosophy, certain values, and it really act on them. And one thing to stress out, because many brands, they are aware of this importance that people needs to feel this emotional connection with the brand. So what they do, they put in, they say on the on page that they donate 1% of the revenue to plant the rainforest, for example. So this won't give the same effect as if it was something that is very much connected to the guts of the brand, right? Apple says that they are creating tools for the innovators, for ones that actually want to change the world, right? So Nike couldn't say that thing, right? And also Apple couldn't say Nike's slogan, for example. So there, don't forget that it's need to be very much intertwined. The brand's vision, the brand's ethos, and the actual how the brand actually do business, the brand's products, the brand's business model, or the brand experience, right?
Very true. Well, let's shift gears a little bit. I want to talk
Yeah.
for a couple of minutes about your agency, about Project Human specifically. So you've done a great job of bringing in really hallmark and well-known brands and help them to grow significantly. How do they find you? How does your marketing work for Project Human?
So we usually go by word of mouth. Almost every brand that we work with, they refer to us at least in one more brand because entrepreneurs, they're connected. But I would say this is our main marketing source. I do work on some content marketing myself in these days, so hopefully very soon you'll be able to see some content made from by the agency on social
Fantastic.
media.
And people can check that out at project-human.com
Yeah.
as it comes live. And of course, follow you, I assume, on the social channels. Well, how do they, with that in mind, our audience, if anyone's interested in learning more or how they can potentially use your services or have questions for you on brand strategy, how can they get a hold of you?
They can find me at Aviad at project-human.com. That's my personal email. Feel free to send me an email with whatever question that you may have. I'd love to help out.
All right, I'm just taking a note of that. We'll put that in the show notes as well, your email address. So again, if people are driving, and Aviad is spelled Aviad. So Aviad at project-human.com.
Yeah.
Aviad, is there anything I didn't ask that you think could be helpful for our audience?
So yeah, there's one thing that I'd like to point out, and it's a very important insight that really helped us really transform a brand called 99 Jersey. 99 Jersey is a brand that sells jerseys, and as I said at the beginning of this podcast, they, like many other brands, they were optimized after the market leader, were optimized after the big players out there, and they really stagnated. And what we did in our process, we always start the process with market research. We take a look at the industry, we take a look at the current customers, because we want to make sure that the new brand strategy will be appealing to them as well. And we're trying to identify an underserved customer segment, because only underserved customer segments, only them, they will have the really high chances of just love the new brand, right? And for a new brand to become viral, it doesn't need to have like millions of people rooting for the brand. It could only have just a few tens of thousands of people just love the brand and what it stands for. And we noticed that all of this jersey industry, jerseys represent players, but the entire industry looked at jerseys as a fashion product, right? And while we talked with some of the customers, we noticed that some of the customers really don't wear the product as many other people wear. They don't have really the same dressing style of the hero customer of the current brand, right? And the current and the market in the industry leaders. They were purchasing the jerseys and just hanging them up on the wall. And for them, jerseys wasn't really something that you wear. It's something that it's a token for appreciation for players' achievement, right? And all other and the industry players just didn't really care about it. They didn't really emphasize who the player behind this jersey. They just put the player out in the on the jersey and in the product description, and they reckoned that people will know this player, and that will do. We optimized the new brand into putting the player's legacy first, right? Everything in the shopping experience was really meant to put the career of the player up front, and we gave it just a lot more respect. This philosophy didn't only play out in the Shopify website, it also played a part in the marketing assets, in the post purchasing assets, and we saw that after we just concluded last December was we concluded the year after we launched the new brand, and I'm happy to say that they grew 4x in revenue year over year after implementing this new brand strategy. It wasn't only the work of the, and something important to say, it wasn't only the work of the new brand strategy and the new design of the brand. It's also the combined work of talented agencies, but I can say very, very confidently that the new brand strategy played a tremendous part in making this growth.
Absolutely. I love that story because I think it speaks to drive tremendous growth, you need to be different, right? There is a place for copying your competition, right? Or I learned a long time ago from an old boss of mine, borrow with pride, right? And you can certainly learn from the big players a lot of the basics, and especially to get started. But if you want to catapult past them, right? If you want to drive fantastic growth, you got to find ways to be different, right? So find ways to be specific to your audience in ways that maybe other brands, other competitors aren't connecting in the same way. And as you mentioned, one of the first steps in doing that is market research, of course, understanding who your customer is, who your consumer is, what their wants, desires, needs are, et cetera, and then developing towards that, right? Whether it's brand strategy, product development, or your marketing initiatives, all that needs to fit in the direction that you want to take your customer, right? That's not going to be the same as everybody else, because at best you'll grow, but you'll grow slowly, right? But if you really want to catapult that growth, it's important to be different in the right way. Well, Aviad, this has been a lot of fun. I do want to encourage our audience, please check out project-human.com. You can learn more about Aviad, his business, what he's done, or reach out to him directly with his email that's in our show notes as well, with any questions that you have. Well, Aviad, thanks again for taking the time today.
Thanks again. Thank you, John. It was a pleasure.
Did you know you can meet with a member of my team absolutely free for a 30-minute strategy consultation? We've launched and grown hundreds of products since 2007 and learned some of our strategies while growing OxyClean back in the Billy Mays days. We're here to help, so please go to harvestgrowth.com and set up a call if you'd like to discuss further.